stack. Harry, welcome, my friend. So Donald Trump asked the court to block this ban. And if the justices defy him, could Trump potentially undo a TikTok ban with the stroke of a pen once he takes office? That would happen 24 hours after it goes into effect by law.
The short answer is no. The law is passed by Congress. It says Chinese companies you can't do business with. And just to decipher a little bit of the dialogue from the court up front, ByteDance is a Chinese company. TikTok is not. But the question is, whose First Amendment rights are being infringed? That's really where the court was going. That and Justice Alito saying there's an important foreign policy issue here. Mm-hmm. But no, if come the 19th, it goes into effect, you need a congressional enactment as you had in the first place to undo it. He can't do it with a stroke of a pen.
And listen, issues about free speech that were presented before the court. You heard Ketanji Brown Jackson. She say this is not about trying to mute people or free speech. It's about changing ownership. TikTok can continue to exist in this country after January 19 if ByteDance sells it. I mean, is that the solution?
Well, we'll see what the solution is forced into if they don't get there. But it's totally right that they're choosing to use ByteDance's algorithm. They could choose to use another one. The immediate question is whether these important foreign policy interests saying don't consort with China are somehow trumped because it's TikTok's First Amendment right. And the court seemed strongly to be trending in the direction, it's not TikTok speech that's being suppressed. It's ByteDance's. It just has incidental effects on TikTok. So if they uphold it, Alex, we'll see what kind of corporate moves are scrambled to keep TikTok here, but it'll certainly be interrupted for a time. Yeah,
well, we've got 8 days to see what happens. This all goes down next Sunday. Let me pivot here because also new today, another attempt to delay the release of Jack Smith's report on Trump's actions related to classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. The DOJ is fighting against attempts to block the release of this, as well as Smith's report on Trump's January 6th actions. What do you think we might see in these reports, and why does the Department of Justice want to make them public?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty basic kind of public knowledge imperative, right? We saw it with other special counsels, including Robert Hur for Trump. And I think not just DOJ, but society has a huge stake in seeing what Smith has uncovered to the extent he can show it. There will be redactions. And also, Alex, the process requires him to reveal why he made decisions not to bring cases against certain people, not to bring certain charges that could have disqualified Trump. So that's what I think we really do want to see. We should brace ourselves for some redactions, but that's what we want to see. In terms of where it is in the law, it's a big mess right now, mainly because of good old Judge Eileen Cannon. But I think the short answer is by probably Monday, the 11th Circuit will clean it up and make clear that Volume 1, which doesn't have to do with Mar-a-Lago, Garland, Volume 2 stays under wraps.
Can I ask you, Judge Eileen Cannon, does she even, or Eileen Cannon, I know there's been different pronunciations, but does she even have jurisdiction over the election interference case?
Absolutely not, and no one would say otherwise. Nevertheless, and she probably doesn't have jurisdiction even over this case because she dismissed it. It's now with the 11th Circuit. Nevertheless, a federal district court judge named Eileen Cannon entered a piece of paper that said, DOJ, you can't say boo on this report. It's a bad order, and that's why the DOJ has now gone to the 11th Circuit. It's a bad order, and she didn't have jurisdiction in the first place. But they have to undo it rather than just, ignore it in a current pending order.
Okay, and by the way, you're calling her Eileen Cannon. I'm going to use that as well.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay. This fight over the release of Jack Smith's reports, can it go all the way to the Supreme Court? And if it does, will the justices allow Trump to run out the clock, in the typical Trump playbook, so he can then order them sealed when he takes office on January 20th?
Very possibly, and we all have to be afraid that he goes in there and everything, all the copies are there. There are other ways. They could be lodged with Congress. They could be lodged with Biden, who can do things with them. They could be lodged with a court. But you're absolutely right. If the 11th Circuit makes clear, I think on Monday, you've got a green light here, DOJ. Trump can appeal to the Supreme Court, very weak claim, but can he eat up enough days while they consider it so that it's effectively done? Because come January 20th, everything changes. That
Yeah.
could well be his game here.
So Trump now has a new place in history as the first former president to be sentenced in a criminal case and the first convicted felon who will be sworn in as president. Do you agree, Harry, with the decision to let him off with no penalty whatsoever?
Well, look, I think that Mayor Chun was pretty prudent and wise here. He just separated out the personal consequences to Trump to the fact of conviction. That fact, I think, is crucial to have in history, and to have that scarlet letter. The other that he got nothing, not even a slap on the wrist, I think was Mayor Chun's accurate assessment that if I give them anything, they're going to stop me in a higher court. They will freeze me. And the Supreme Court, when it said go ahead by skin of our teeth, right, 5-4 vote, they did say it's only going to be an unconditional discharge. So in that sense, it had to be done. And I think what he preserved is way, way more important for history, which is part of what's going on here, than what he let go.
Let me just ask you one more question, Harry, because you're a fellow Californian. What are your thoughts as our hearts are breaking together for this disaster still unfolding there?
And the news is rolling in. I just this morning heard about two good friends who are completely homeless. My number one, my first thought is just as you say, Alex, oh my God, what a tragedy. And my second is what a mess in terms of, in particular, insurance. As a Californian, haven't been able to get fire insurance, even down where I am. I think there are going to be a lot of people who are really holding the bag, and it's going to be a huge public policy problem.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We'll have to talk about that in the future because it's definitely a conversation that is pending. Harry Litman, thank you, my friend. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
It is a wasteland. Some of the worst words said and felt by California residents as they return home after these wildfires.
In person but joined virtually from the home in Florida, from which he addressed the court, showing zero contrition and selling the case a very terrible experience and saying, I am totally innocent. Trump remarks before the court were a familiar litany of grievances and attacks on everyone involved in the case. It's been a political witch hunt here. It was done to damage my reputation so that I did not lose election, and obviously that did not work, and the people of our country got to see this firsthand, Trump said, and then they vote and I won. Despite fighting to block the hearing, Trump's legal team believes its significant victory out that after being convicted of 34 felonies, their client will only get an unconditional discharge, which is less than the penalty of speaking ticket. A source familiar with their thinking told